see him block. He puts a hat on that defender, gets in there, great blocking stance, pushes that guy's ass back.
And welcome into Touchdown Live. As always, I am Matthew Travis.
Jones certainly has a lot of chemistry here at Hereford. Goes to McGinn.
McMillon is Smith in the tackle for Alabama.
To the M3 show.
It's not always good for the quarterback on the other side to be talking stuff so early in the game.
Look, I don't have a kid on the way this week, but it's almost time for Alabama football season, baby.
Well, welcome back to episode 3 of the M3 podcast. As always, I'm Matthew Travis, joined by former Alabama players Mac Hereford and Josh McMillon. And you might notice we're representing some new clothing. I have for years been trying to get the attention of Travis Matthew because for obvious reasons, my name is Matthew Travis. Love the brand. I actually bought this shirt, but they sent us a bunch of stuff. They just had a new drop with Alabama and a bunch of other colleges. Sent us this hat. The shirts, both of them are wearing, and the hat Mac is wearing as well. So big shout out to Travis Matthew. Excited to be partnering with them, and hopefully we can get you guys some stuff. But definitely check out their drop. A bunch of good stuff for you guys. But the reason all of you are here is to hear us talk about a positive result for Alabama this week. They beat UL Monroe 73-0, avoid what happened back in 2007 when they fell to UL Monroe. Really good result. Alabama was really flawless. Started out 21 for 21 for the quarterbacks between Ty and Austin Mack. Ty finished the game 17 for 17. Really good game. But for you guys, I'll start with you, Mac. Really good result. And some people could say, well, it's UL Monroe. But this week was all about getting back to playing Alabama football. They could have been playing Hoover High School, Thompson High School. It didn't matter. It was getting back to playing Alabama football. So for you watching the game back, I know you were breaking down some film today. What did you see out of Alabama's win from Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's like, look, we got a W. You know, everybody was freaking out. It could be ULM. It could be Chicago Presbyterian Technology School online or something. It doesn't matter. We got a W, okay? We're back on the track. We got to stay on the tracks. Now, was it the biggest W? It might not have been. It's ULM, but I like the way that we performed in a lot of aspects. Specifically, going through a couple of my notes from watching film today, Jeremy Bernard still is him.
Beast.
He is. We talked about him after week 1. He looked great. He had the press conferences talking about, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. He's kind of become this hero for Alabama football on the offensive side. But one of the things that stood out to me today watching through it is his ability not just to make a play, catching the ball, but on a lot of run plays, you see him block. He puts a hat on that defender, gets in there, great blocking stance, pushes that guy's ass back, and allows the running back to have some room. I was really impressed with that. That's what stood out to me because everyone wants to see the plays. Everyone wants to see the big catches, but he's doing it even when he's not the person the play is designed for, which is awesome to see on his end. And I hope he continues to ball out. Ty Simpson, elite level performance. You know, again, this is ULM. He had more time. The offensive line had an ability to or created a better pocket for him, which again, a lot of people could say is from the fact that we're playing ULM, which could be true. But it's just cool to see, hey, if we can sustain our blocks on the offensive line, if we can give him enough time in the pocket, he can make the throws. And they did a good job. The OC this week, Grubb, did a great job because of the fact of they talked a little bit about this, but they didn't give him too many options. They kind of tried to give him a lot of options where it's either run or pass, like RPO style things, where he's going to be able to make a decision based off one different thing and stick with it and go with it. So we didn't see him late on a lot of throws. And when he got the opportunity to throw deep, he crushed it. You know, his stats speak for himself, and happy to see him just, prove the haters or doubters wrong. And hopefully he does that this upcoming week as well. Another guy, or sticking on the quarterback position, want to talk about Austin Mack as well as Keelan Russell. Austin Mack came in, it was bizarre, the timing, in my opinion, that they put him in before the half is over, done. I've never seen, that's not something Coach Saban necessarily would have done.
And then Ty came back too. It was a very bizarre.
And then Ty came back in. It was bizarre, but it looked seamless. That was the thing that I liked about it. You put Austin Mack in there, seamless drive. You put Ty back in. You almost, if you took away who the guy was and just put a quarterback in there, you might not have known the difference to a certain extent. And so I love seeing that, hey, we have some guys back there that could step in if Ty were to go down. And then the last one, Keelan Russell, everybody's hyped to see him. And specifically, he had that touchdown pass that was unbelievable. Does like a pump fake, gets back and airs that thing out effortlessly. So love to see that on his end. And then another person, Kevin Riley, really stood out to me, running back. He looked amazing. He reminded me a little bit, Josh, of the other Josh from our time, Josh Jacobs, who also wore the number 28 at a certain point. And I just love the way he's aggressive. Like, I love aggressive ball runners, and that's what Kevin Riley looked like. Like, when he got into the open, he was laying the freaking shoulder and laying people out and fighting for every yard like it was his last. So I love to see that. And then his ability to make catches in the open field and make moves with that, just as a receiving back as well. So well-rounded back, excited to continue to see him explode this year. And that gave me a lot of hope on this Alabama offense. And then lastly, we had a guy, MJ Churgwin, DM'd him on Instagram, told him it was badass. Guy got in late game and made a hell of a catch and got a touchdown. I can just say, as a guy who I would die to have gotten a catch on that field during a game, I would have died. I would have cut off I'm not even going to say what I would have cut off, but I would cut off something on my body for a freaking touchdown in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I would have done so many dirty things for a touchdown in Bryant-Denny Stadium. And I was a little bit jealous, but I'm just happy for the guy. I'm happy for him, and I hope he realizes, how big of a deal it is that he was able to have that and get that moment. And it's just a lot different. You never saw that when Josh and I played. We could be up 63 to freaking 0. You're not putting in the second teamers. You're not putting in anybody. You're sticking with that first team crew. So seeing that is kind of cool that DeBoer did that for those guys and put them in at the end to give them a chance to really make some plays and go out there and, fulfill some lifelong dreams. Josh, I'll let you kind of speak more. I covered a bunch on the offense. I'll let you speak a little bit more on the defense. But only note I really had on the defense was just the effort looked a ton better. Guys were sprinting to the ball. You saw a bunch of crimson jerseys. Coaches like to say you want to see a bunch of crimson jerseys together, and that's what we saw. Guys were hawking down the ball carrier, and specifically Justin Jefferson. I felt like that guy, I heard his name come up so many freaking times. I was like, Justin Jefferson, his name was coming up as much as it does for the Vikings when Justin Jefferson, the receiver, is playing. So shout out to him as well. He looked great, and it's pleased to see the things I saw, but I'm also realistic in the fact that, look, ULM is a lesser opponent than we're used to facing. And, we've got to be able to play that football 24/7, no matter who we play. We have to be able to strike that same fear in the opponent and be able to finish plays and make plays like we did this past weekend. But overall, I was very pleased with the play.
Yeah, for sure. Just to reiterate, Ty Simpson did a great job. 17 of 17 for over 200 yards. It's great, unheard of. He actually broke a Alabama record with that. So hats off to him. Definitely showed a lot of confidence in the pocket. Was able to make the hard throws. I did see him getting mobile. He had a rushing touchdown. So I love seeing that, getting him on the perimeter and getting him in the end zone for a rushing TD. So that was also good. Hats off to Grubb on his play calling, getting the guys on a lot of different, looks so that we can be able to build our playbook throughout the year. It's going to come up in the, further on down the stretch when we can really get into the SEC play. So it's good that we were able to incorporate some of those plays early in the year. So when we need it, we have them. We already have them worked out in the game. So good to see that. Love that rushing a whole lot better. We were able to get multiple guys in the end zone. It looked great. So we can wrap up the whole offense. My thing is the defense. It was 100% lot better play from the defender guys. We were able to create turnovers. Justin Jefferson with the interception early on in the game. Love that for him. He's really stepping up for the linebacker crew. Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. was able to get a forced turnover. Love to see that. Saw his dad was in the game with Coach Saban. Just love overall the performance that the University of Alabama defensive Crimson Tide unit had all together. one thing that I really wanted to kind of like pick up on, like, yeah, we were able to, get turnovers, have tackles for loss, but I didn't see any sacks. And that's just something that's always been big and something that, the University of Alabama defense has been big on, getting to the quarterback on third down. Something that I would like to see an improvement in. And this is only, week 2. We definitely have a lot more areas to get some improvement in. So just would love to see, third down, having some of those guys in the wolf position to be able to get after the quarterback and create turnovers that way. But overall, phenomenal performance. Really loved how Kalen DeBoer was able to get a lot of guys in there. Like Max said earlier, like we didn't really see a lot of their rotation, especially early on in the game. So letting those guys get in the game, get some good experience because we're gonna need them. We're gonna have to lean on them. We're gonna have to depend on some of these guys to come and play some of these key major roles when other guys go down. So love seeing that, and I think overall I think it was pretty much a B plus as far as performance, but I definitely see a lot of areas where we can still improve in.
Yeah, I liked a lot of what you just mentioned. And the thing for me that really stuck out was we talked all last week about effort intensity. We wanted to see Alabama play Alabama football, not for 30 minutes, not for 25 minutes, for a full 60-minute football game. And that fumble you mentioned, Dre
Hmm.
Kirkpatrick forcing the fumble, they were up 66 to nothing at the time, and he still was giving his all, and we were still seeing that intensity literally right up until the final whistle. So
Yeah.
that for me, I'm going to be a little more generous of a grader than you are. That was an A game for Alabama. Whenever you win 73 to nothing and you're forcing fumbles when you're up 66 to nothing, that to me is a very good game. Mac, you mentioned Kevin Riley, really impressive game out of him. 11 carries, 6 receptions for 114 combined yards and a touchdown. And we talked about wanting to see Ty make a step up. And one thing that really stuck out to me was he threw a touchdown, got called back on a flag, ran for a touchdown, also got called back for a flag, and then they still were able to score on that drive, a passing touchdown on that drive. So just the resiliency to see 2 touchdowns taken back, one of which he dove at the pylon to get, was all hyped up about, gets taken back, and he's still able to keep his cool and still and that drive in the end zone, I think says a lot about where he was at, seeing 2 of his plays get taken back and still get the touchdown. Jeremy Bernard just continues to impress me. No Ryan Williams this week, and yet we were still able to be productive through the air. Jeremy Bernard, a great game. And I want to give some flowers to AK Deer, that 56-yard rushing touchdown. He had
Yes,
5 carries for 76 yards. A really good game out of him, with Jam Miller still not playing. So, and then another thing, Kalen DeBoer just, it felt like Kalen DeBoer was Kalen DeBoer. He wasn't trying to be anything else. He got a lot of flack last year for wearing that t-shirt hoodie and not
Yeah.
looking like who an Alabama coach should be looking like, according to some Alabama fans. And Kalen DeBoer just said, screw you. I'm Kalen DeBoer. I'm the head coach, not you. And I
Yeah.
think just being comfortable with being Kalen DeBoer, not trying to be Nick Saban. I think
Hmm.
something as small as a t-shirt hoodie, I think that does make someone maybe feel more comfortable just being able to do what you want to do without it. And my buddy Chris Daughtry, he put out a clip that's going a little viral. Tim Keenan talking to him pregame. I don't know if you guys saw the clip. It seemed like he was trying to hype Kalen DeBoer up and essentially telling
Hmm.
him to be him. He was actually asked about it and today, Monday, during the press conference, and he said it's nice that he actually feels support and he's not letting the outside noise get inside the facility, which is what you want to hear. And Josh, one thing you mentioned, Alabama had 12 combined tackles for loss and no
Hmm.
sacks. I don't know the last time I've seen double-digit tackles for loss without a single sack, and that's something Kane talked about today, and Kane Womack, that is, needing to get more pressure on the quarterback, especially going
Sure.
into a power conference opponent this week in Wisconsin. Wisconsin maybe not as strong as even Florida State, who we saw in week 1, but it's still a power conference opponent, so it's
For sure.
still a formidable opponent. And if you want to beat a power conference opponent, you have to get to the quarterback. So that's definitely one thing we need to see improve going into this weekend against Wisconsin. But last week, a lot of what we talked about was good, bad, and ugly. So we're going to start something this week. I want each of you to, I'll go first to give you guys a little time to think about it. But a good thing you saw this week, a bad thing you saw, and an ugly thing. And ugly, we might be nitpicking a little bit because of the fact that Alabama won 73 to nothing, but
Yeah.
over time, we'll definitely have time to highlight some things. So good as a whole, I could say just everything, but I really liked, Mac hinted at this. I really liked seeing both Austin Mack and Keelan Russell come in and be able to come in like they were playing the whole game, feel comfortable enough, especially Austin coming in, then being taken out, Ty being put in, and then Keelan coming in at the end. All three of them combined for 7 combined touchdowns through the air, and Ty added one on the ground with his legs as well. So I really liked the quarterback play as a whole, seeing the other two come in, like Max said, God forbid Ty goes down. I feel somewhat comfortable seeing
Yeah.
Austin and or Keelan come in. The bad, I guess I would say the sacks. You want to see more sacks. I mean, 12 tackles for loss, 0 sacks when you hold them to 0 points. You just expect that to be better. And I'm gonna punt on the ugly. I didn't see anything that was ugly to me. So, Mac, I'll tee it up for you. Good, bad, and ugly from Alabama's 73 to nothing win.
Yeah, let me look. I know this is supposed to be like one, the good, the bad, the ugly, like one thing, Josh, like it was, well, actually,
Hmm.
multiple good, bad, and uglies throughout the whole thing.
Oh,
But
for sure.
yeah, the way I want to do it is this week I have a lot of good. One starting with just the future of the program and the future of the players in the program.
Yep.
One of the guys I forgot to mention was Brooks, freshman receiver, who looked
Hmm.
awesome out there. Comes in as a freshman, replacing Ryan Williams for the game. Looked extremely shifty and elusive and quick, and just like making high level catches. So it was awesome to
Yeah.
see him, as well as the quarterbacks, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, knowing those guys are going to come in after, Ty leaves eventually. And, some of the other guys, some of the other young guys out there playing looked impressive. Another great or good was Ty Simpson's ability to run the football. I was watching that and I was like, plays that were designed for him to run the football. Ty Simpson was running the mother frickin' football. He looked like a beast out there running the football. And I love the way he was just, avoiding tacklers, getting upfield. He looked comfortable. He looked quick. That's something that I think we'll have in the back pocket for this year throughout the season is just his ability to run the ball. I think people continue to sleep on that, and it's something I want to continually point out. And then the last of the good was go back to Tim Keenan, obviously your buddy's clip, but something I love because I was a sideline guy. When it was on Saturdays, I wanted to be on the freaking field. Like I said, there was crazy things I would do to be out on that football field on Saturdays and play. But a lot of times I sat on the sidelines. And that doesn't mean I didn't have an impact. I was cheering guys on. I was hyped on the sideline. People got a touchdown. I was one of the first people up there to congratulate them, talking to teammates, firing people up on the sidelines. One time, my heart even skipped a beat during the LSU. It was the LSU game in 2019, Josh. I took some creepy crawlers
Uh,
and I took go-go juice, which are two things that we won't discuss much of it, but took some like stuff that really like pre-workout
get you
style
going.
stuff that got me going just for being on the sidelines cheering on my teammates. And I was like jumping up and down and my heart would skip a beat. All to say, to see a guy like Tim Keenan, who's injured right now, but not only that clip of him going up to DeBoer, but throughout the game, there was numerous times where I saw him being one of the first people to congratulate his teammates on a good drive, to hype people up, to pump people up, and it doesn't go unseen. And I love that kind of stuff because it's an intangible. You can't coach that. That's just someone has to have that inside of him. So just having him out there being a good leader and helping command that team when he can't step on the field last Saturday was awesome to see. So there's a bunch of good. I would say the only bad I have, if anything bad, would be one, the offensive line's ability to sustain, just going from the first half to the second half, seeing them just like the pocket not being near as clean. We're playing ULM. We've got to have the O-line's got to show up each and every single play. And it can't be if there's a different quarterback in or, they're tired. We got to keep showing up. So that's one thing I want to see improved. And then just sometimes, not going to call out any specific moment, but there was guys like on the offense, some wide receivers that I didn't feel like were picking up blocks or putting a hat on someone when the play wasn't designed for them. And you could say for reasons of guys trying not to get a penalty, block in the back, blindside block, whatever it may be, but trust it from a guy who wanted to do everything right and wanted to figure out every way to be helpful in the field. You can put a hat on somebody, or you can sure as hell be a distraction.
Screen a guy, something. Give him
Do
something.
something. Yeah, do something. There's ways to do something. So the a little bit of a lack of effort there was the only other bad that I saw on my end.
Yeah. So with me, I would definitely say just the quarterback play, just like you said, Matt. Um, the transition for all three guys just coming into the game. Ty coming in scoring touchdowns, Austin coming in scoring touchdowns, Keelan coming in scoring touchdowns. That transitioning and that level of intensity that they all play with was just great. So hats off to them. I love the QB group, and it makes you feel comfortable as a fan, saying that we're going to be fine later on down the road in the future years. So A+ for the QB group. Definitely another good would be the defense as a whole unit. We got 3 turnovers. We always love that. 2 or more is kind of like the standard, but able to punch the ball out, force turnovers, get interceptions. You love that as a defensive coach. So that's another good thing that we saw. I would say the bad would be the fact that no sacks. We weren't really affecting the quarterback, and able to like put the DBs in a position to have another turnover. So I would definitely like to see improvement in that area. One thing that I did see, we had 5 penalties for 55 yards. You know what ULM had? It's like 4 penalties for like 44 yards or 40 yards or something like that. So this is still a lingering thing that I feel like is going to bite us in the butt later on down the road. We have to play penalty free. Doesn't matter what opponent we're going against. Whoever we have in front of us, we have to be a disciplined team. So I would definitely say that stat right there is just still poking out to me. That is an area that we need to improve in greatly, because we can't get down to the SEC championship or the national championship game. We're at 4th and 1. We have Jam Miller back there, and we want to get this first down, and we have the offensive line guys jumping off sides. It's unacceptable. So I feel like that's something that we need to kind of harp on moving forward. And I would just say ugly, Mac. You kind of spoke on it a little bit, but guys loafing on the football field. If you're out there on the football field, you have to find something to do. Have some intensity and have emotion about what you're doing and what you're going to go after. You cannot be sitting around loafing and not really doing your job. So I would definitely say anytime you cut on that tape, you need to be you're showing that you're playing up to the Alabama standard. You're playing with discipline, you're playing with effort, you're playing with toughness. You're committing that you won't lack and leave your brother behind. So I would definitely say just moving forward, no loafing at all on the football field. It's just unacceptable. If you are the person who can control it, you have to be the one that step up and live up to that standard. So that's my version of the good, bad, and ugly.
And you can mess up, but mess up fast is what we used to say.
Going 100 miles per hour.
Exactly, 100 miles per hour. If you're gonna make a mistake, do it 100 freaking miles per hour, because you may forget the play, you may have a missing assignment, an error, your splits may be wrong, but just figure a way out to at least show that you're having effort doing something. You know what I mean? So it's just, and it takes a guy off, like both of us. I mean, you played a lot more than I did, Josh, but both of us, there was years where we wanted to be out there, and the guys in front of us, they weren't loafing. They weren't freaking loafing. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, how many ever freaking deep you wanted to go. Each and every player was grinding their ass off to try to make it and to be the best teammate and player they could be on that field. Rare was it during the times that we played that we would have guys ever loaf. And if they did, best believe they're going to get their ass ripped by Coach Saban. So
it was just like, the Wands were on the football field. So, definitely have to carry over that intensity, that discipline each and every time that you're from the 1s to the 2s to the 3s. You saw flashes of it all the time. Not all the time, but it needs to be done every single time anyone is on that football field.
No doubt. Well,
100%.
putting a bow on it, Alabama now 1-1 on the season, 73-0 win over Louisiana Monroe. Ty Simpson 17 for 17, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown on top of it. Now they welcome Wisconsin into Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Obviously, the two played a season ago. Alabama winning 42-10 in Madison. This year, two teams are both very different. Wisconsin comes in 2-0, but it's a week 2-0. They beat Miami of Ohio 17-0. They were only up 3-0 at halftime in that game. Then beat Middle Tennessee State 42-10 this past week. Quarterback Danny O'Neal is 35 for 46 on the year with 403 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks. And they really rely on three guys through the air: Vinny Anthony II, Lance Mason, and Jaden Ballard. They each have 1 touchdown on the year, and all three of them have more than 100 yards on the year. So the three of them really the focal points of the offense, along with Dylan Jones, 24 carries for 109 yards and 1 touchdown. So guys, a lot different team. Alabama and Wisconsin, both teams are a lot different than last year. But what do you want to see? Josh, we'll start with you. What do you want to see this week? Is it just improvement again week over week going into the bye week before Georgia? What exactly are you hoping to, when we're sitting here next week, what are you hoping to have seen on Saturday?
I would definitely say consistent play on the offense and defensive line. I don't feel like we've put a great full 60-minute tape, good tape out there. So I would definitely like, to see more consistency from those guys, being able to establish a new line of scrimmage on the offensive side, and getting those guys moved backwards, creating lanes and creating holes for running back to be able to score those big plays. Yeah, we got some of that done in ULM, and that was thanks to the backs being shifty and showing their toughness. But would love to see, a big lane that you can drive a whole vehicle through. So definitely would like to see that going moving forward. I would definitely like to see more of the receivers out there, making their big plays. We saw a lot of that this past week. We'll definitely like to see more of it. Hopefully we have a return of Ryan Williams. It's pretty much day to day with the concussion protocol. But, definitely looking to see a good game from Jeremy Bernard, running backs, Isaiah Horton, and the freshman wide receiver. So we'd love to see that. And on defense, definitely would like to see a sack. I mean, we used to always the call was, or the player personnel that we would be in is dime rabbits. And I know we're in a new defensive scheme, but I would love, we used to, chomp at our bits when it was third down. It was like, hey, look, it's gonna be a sack, it's gonna be a sack fumble, it's gonna be an interception, it's gonna be something. It was so much excitement when we were on a third down call or a third down play lineup. So would just love to see, more sacks down the line and more turnovers being created on the defensive side.
And Mac, for you, what are you hoping to get out of this week?
So, I mean, I thought overall the performance was solid. Now, I want to see that same performance, if not better, against a better opponent. If we can do what we did against ULM and make Wisconsin, make these other teams that we're playing throughout the season look like ULM, then we're a damn good football team. You know what I'm saying? We saw it against a lesser opponent. Can we do what we did last week against a better opponent? If we can do that, that's going to give me, that's something I really want to see. And what does that mean? It means giving more time in the pocket, because you can see when he had more time, he's able to make more throws, be able to make his reads better, and able to establish both a run game. The run game looked great, so I want to see a balanced run pass game, which also opens it up more for Ty. And then less penalties and misforced errors. But when we talk about penalties, just side note on the penalties we had last weekend, two of them, Josh, I will say, were a little bit iffy penalties. You had one that was an offensive on the tie touchdown that they called back. That one was a little bit more like he had pancaked him. It could have gone either way. And then you look at Jeremy Bernard had a penalty, offensive pass interference. He was running his route. The guy was directly in front of him. I don't know what you would tell Bernard to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Except for run him over and do what he did. So I think we're seeing, that become less of a thing. And I hope that we continue to see less penalties, more focus, 60 minutes, go out there and kick some ass and do it against a better level opponent than we did last week. Those are the main things for me. The intangibles, just effort and just seeing guys put a hat on somebody, flying around the field, 100 miles per hour, playing Alabama football.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you put it perfectly right there. I want to see what we talked about in the bad and ugly parts of our good, bad, and ugly. I want to see that at least improve. It doesn't need to be perfect this week, but it will need to be at Georgia, but we need to see improvements in those areas. We saw a lot of improvement with the effort and intensity from Florida State to UL Monroe, and I just want to see them keep doing that. I want to see Ty make smart decisions like he did this past week, avoid throwing picks, avoid near picks, play clean football so we can take that into the bye week, take that into Georgia, and hopefully really show the country that, hey, we are still Alabama, and were already running Kalen DeBoer out of Alabama. There was a woman talking about if she won the lottery, she would use some of the money to go to Kalen DeBoer's buyout. Silence those people after
Yeah.
Georgia, and you started that this past week, and you continue it going into a Power Four opponent, and then you bring it into SEC play. So it's really just stacking momentum and bringing that into the bye so you can bring it into Georgia. So I just want to see an extension of what we saw this past week. Get a couple sacks so we can not be talking about that in good, bad, and ugly next week and improve on the penalties. There's no reason that two touchdowns on the same drive should be taken back because of penalties, whether they were bad calls or not. If you're at the end of the day, if you're blaming the referees for a loss, you didn't do enough to get the win. So that should
Exactly.
be the case with two called back touchdowns and whatever it might be. Just don't put the ref in a position where he will throw the flag. So I really want to see that cleaned up. I really want to see an extension of what we saw and just be able to be confident going into Athens because obviously it's not going to be a welcoming environment despite their struggles this past week. So moving on, taking a look around the SEC, a lot of interesting games this past week. I think most notably one game in Starkville and another in Gainesville. Mississippi State gets their first non-conference home win in quite a while. They lost to Toledo at home last year. This year they beat a college football playoff team from last season in Arizona State, the 12th ranked team in the nation. Big win from them. Florida lost to South Florida, which really gave us a little bit of a breather losing to Florida State. So those two games specifically, just what was your reaction seeing that go down on Saturday?
I think I had Mississippi State, correct me if I'm wrong, winning
You
against
did.
Arizona. So like yeah, it's just different ball in the SEC. And I hate to be that guy, but like, them coming all the way out here playing in that environment, like people may sleep on Starkville, but those cowbells, oh my gosh. Like I think I left one game just constantly hearing it. Like my head was just ringing and it got loud. I think it was when we had Jalen Hurts at quarterback, and it was a real close game. We lost a ton of inside linebackers. We had Rashawn Evans leading the group. Dylan Moses, was just a young freshman at the time, and he was having a whole lot of inconsistent play. So it was a hard game for us, and they also had like a different running style and running scheme and blocking scheme for us. So we struggled a little bit. We were able to make it out. I think Jalen Hurts connected with Calvin Ridley, or was it Devontae Smith? Was it Calvin?
I can't even
I don't
remember.
know.
But late touchdown late in the game, and then we flipped it over, and we were able to hold them off on the defensive side. But it's a pretty harsh environment down there in Starkville, so I wasn't too shocked when that kind of came up. And as far it was Florida and who else?
South Florida. Florida lost to South Florida.
That yeah, that was pretty crazy. I mean, like I hate it for Napier. That was my
Yeah.
first wide receiver coach in college. So I hated to see that was the result. But USF's got a damn good football team this year. I think we've started to see that, like their first two games of the season.
Beat
So
Boise and then
they're
beat Florida on the road.
they're kind of a wagon. USF's kind of a wagon.
They'll be tested this week. They play Miami. We'll get to that in our picks segment, so we won't give too much away on that one. But yeah, really surprising result right there. LSU and Georgia both struggled this week as well. Two top four teams in the country. LSU narrowly beat, well, narrowly when you're playing a Louisiana Tech, but they narrowly beat Louisiana Tech. Georgia struggled a bit with Austin Peay, just your guys' thoughts on those two games specifically. Obviously, Alabama's first SEC game is on the road at Georgia, so maybe we'll start with that one. Georgia struggles a little bit against Austin P for Georgia standards. Just where are you guys at with Georgia and also LSU right now? Josh, for you.
Um, I feel like, a couple of those teams are trying to find their identity. I know Georgia, they're struggling with their quarterback right now. So, and you have a couple of new guys and faces on the defensive side. So I feel like, they kind of got into a complacent place, playing to their level of their opponent and not really going out and playing true SEC Georgia football. So I feel like, it's a little bit inconsistency, and they're searching and trying to find their identity as a team. But it's the game's getting real close, so it'll be interesting when we see the matchup against Alabama.
And Mac, what did you see out of LSU and Georgia, and kind of maybe your surprise level was seeing them struggle against inferior opponents?
Yeah, I would say just less of what I saw in that game, but what it shows to us is, as fans of football and people, is that there's not one team that's invincible this year.
Yeah.
So far that's proved it themselves. Every team's going to struggle. Like to Alabama fans, it's like, look, you saw we had a bad first game. Florida State's a pretty damn good football team. We've now seen two top 10 teams struggle against lesser opponents. So again, I reiterate, I'm always like, we're all freaking out over here. I feel like everyone's freaking out, and it's like it only shows us that everyone's got a chance this year. Even the bad teams, like they have a chance that they get their shit together. But I also reiterate what Josh is saying. I think it's an identity thing, trying to figure out throughout the season. And this is what happens at the beginning of the season for a lot of teams, is they begin to establish that identity throughout. But the main thing is that everyone's beatable. And I think that should be promising to us, and give us a little bit more, fire
Right.
going into the rest of the season.
No doubt. And both LSU and Georgia do begin SEC play this week. LSU playing Ole Miss, Georgia playing Tennessee. We'll get to both of those games here in a minute. And wrapping up around the SEC, Auburn. The Tigers are ranked for the first time since 2021. They come in at 24th in the nation. Alabama up to 19th going into week 3. Josh, you were a little surprised at hearing that. Your thoughts on the Tigers being ranked for the first time in 4 years?
Yeah, that's crazy. Gus Malzahn kind of ran the program and he was doing a good job. And now they went through a couple of, coaching changes. I think who's out there? Is it Hugh
Brian
Freeze?
Harsin, and now it's Hugh Freeze. Yep.
Yeah. So seeing what his background is and kind of like where he came from, he was at Ole Miss. He was always able to, kind of turn their program around. So saying that they haven't been ranked in, a few years is kind of crazy stat, but it's no shock to me that he was out there doing a good job with the Tigers. Now, forget I said that, but I'm always gonna be a true Alabama guy. Nothing against the Tigers. We're just a better team in Alabama.
Look, this is what I'll say. I made the pick. The pick wasn't because I was looking at who the team was. I knew Auburn was going to cover the spread because I'm a sharp. Let's all just understand that I'm a sports betting sharp at this point. Um, and I chose Auburn because I knew they were going to win that football game. My reasoning was probably shit, but I just had a gut feeling that they were going to win. And it's like kind of fun. I always like it for the Iron Bowl, especially leading up every year, knowing it's going to be a game because we're going to go in there and beat the brakes off of them is the mindset that we had. But just knowing that it's going to be a game already leading up, just seeing they have a lot of talent on their team and Hugh Freeze really turning around that program is exciting for the SEC. Am I happy for him? Am I whatever? I'll put that aside. But as a sports betting man, I made the pick last week, just putting that out there that it was a lock. And Herb bought you some money. Mac Herb bought some money to the kids.
And unfortunately, Mac has been doing well in the picks. I have not exactly been doing
Oh,
well in the picks. Taking a look at last week, I went 1-7-1. The only game I got right was Alabama. So I guess I picked the right game to get right, but the fact remains I was 1-7-1 picks last week. Mac and Josh both tied for first, 5-3-1. All three of us pushed with the SMU Baylor game. Baylor winning that one by 3 in overtime. We had it when the spread was 3 earlier in the week. So that
Good
brings
game.
us to the standings for the season. Mac, he was telling you he's a sharp, and unfortunately the standings do show that. He is 13-9-1. He maintains his spot atop the leaderboard. He's going crazy right there. Josh is in second at 11-11-1, and I am in
Watch out
third
now.
at 7-15-1. A lot of room for improvement. So we're
I'm
gonna
taking
we're
over
gonna
this week, Mac. I'm taking over.
Not this week. Look, is it Travis Matthew? Is it Matthew Travis? All I know is he is fade God from here on out. Fade Matthew Travis's picks, my friends. If you're looking to make some money and some bang for your buck, come on over to the Waters. Come on in the water.
So you're saying I should fade myself this week and pick opposite?
You should make your picks and then everybody else should fade you. I don't want you to do all that.
I'll be a
thinking
man of the
of-
people. I'll be a
I
man
don't
of the
want you
people.
thinking of all these different things in your head. Just make your picks. So you're just known as the fade doctor from now on, Matthew.
We'll see.
Doctor.
We'll see
Sorry,
about that.
Travis
So,
Matthew. You know, you thought you were going with Matthew Travis. Now it's getting all confusing and shit. But yep, leading the picks, baby. Let's go.
all right, well, let's get into it. We'll start off as we always do. Alabama this week at home hosting Wisconsin. The Tide a 20.5 point favorite, and I'm going to ride with the Tide. I think Ty Simpson is going to keep showing signs of improvement. They beat him last year. They covered last year in Madison. I think they do again. So, Mac, what do you have? Alabama 20.5 point favorite.
I am hammering the Tide. The Tide will cover.
You are.
You know,
hammering
they're going to
the
cover
Tide.
against Wisconsin. Like I like to say is when you're trying to ride a bike, you got to get on the bike and start riding it. The first couple of rides are a little bit unshaky. You may fall off the bike. That's this program this year. There was a little bit of a shaky bike ride. Now they're on the freaking bike. They've taken off the kiddie pedals and they're flying down. I hope they continue to do so and dominate and look great this week against a bigger opponent and better opponent than last week. So hammer the Tide, 20.5. Let's go.
And Josh, to you, Alabama 20.5 point favorite.
Taking the Tide. I think they will cover. I think they're going to want to show up and prove to everyone with a better opponent this week coming from ULM that, hey, look, we have everybody on the bus. We're going to do what it takes. Ty is going to continue to show the confidence of that QB performance play, and I think the defense is going to make another stride to become better. So, give me the Tide for this one covering.
All right, all three of us on the Tide. The only game we have not involving an SEC team. It's one of the only ranked games of the week. 18th ranked South Florida at 5th ranked Miami. Miami a 17.5 point favorite. I'm going to go to the man at the top of our standings first, Mr. Sharp. Mac, what you got?
You know, I have never been a fan of hurricanes. Real hurricane. And so I'm just going to have to stay here. Stay away from the hurricane. If you know what I'm saying, we're going with the USF.
Oh,
I think
wow.
USF's what? The
The
Bulldogs?
Bulls.
The Bulls.
The Bulls.
The USF Bulls. Yeah, this thing, whatever you call it. USF Bulls, not to win the game, Josh. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going with them to cover the spread at plus 17
Gotcha.
and a half. They're going to cover the spread. They've been hot. They're damn good football team. Miami is great, but we've seen USF continue to impress us. I'm going to ride the Bulls into Spain here on this one.
Bulls into Spain. Mac, you're on it today. I just want you to know. Matt, give me Miami. Mario Cristobal is doing a terrific job down there. They've shown great performance all throughout the year. Give me Miami for the win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Hurricanes as well. I think this line is begging you to take South Florida coming off a big win at Florida. And also gonna give a shout out to former Alabama assistant basketball coach Brian Hodgson. He is now the head coach at South Florida. But Miami, I'm riding with Carson Beck, so I will take the Canes minus 17.5. Another ranked versus ranked matchup: Texas A&M, number 16 in the nation, at 8. Florida at 8 Notre Dame. Notre Dame is 6.5-point favorite. Notre Dame got the win in College Station last year. This one in South Bend. I am gonna go with Notre Dame. Texas A&M's quarterback Reed, he's a little banged up. I'm gonna go with the Irish. Josh, what you got? Notre Dame is 6.5-point favorite.
I'll take Notre Dame for the 6.5 points. I really don't think, Jimbo Fisher has it figured out down there. I mean, he's just been showing a
It's
little.
Mike Elko. Jimbo been out for years.
Oh, yeah, no. My bad, my bad. Yes.
You just
I'm
had a
thinking
kid.
back to my time. Thinking back to my
You just
time.
had a kid. You haven't been getting any sleep. It's okay. We'll forgive you. Restart. Notre Dame is 6.5-point favorite, hosting 16th ranked Texas A&M. Go.
Yes, so definitely going with the Irish on this one. Hasn't been much consistency from Texas A&M, so definitely going with the Irish.
And Mac,
I'm going to have to say I am usually heavy SEC side. SEC is usually free. In this case, you got to go with the luck of the Irish. Can I give it a shout out to my boy Rudy? I don't know Rudy personally, but I've met the guy. But Rudy,
he was offsides.
It was not offside. It was a great play. Love that. We're going with the Irish. I love their coach. I'm not going to give too much analysis. I'm an intangibles guy. We've heard this all throughout the podcast. I like effort. I like good people, good character. Marcus Freeman, that's his name, correct?
That's his name.
Hell of a coach. Hell of a football coach. He's going to lead the Irish in there, and they're going to fight. Hence the word fighting Irish. We're hammering fighting Irish. Notre Dame minus 6.5.
I'm in last place behind a guy who thought Jimbo Fisher was still at A&M and another guy who had to confirm that Marcus Freeman, who just led Notre Dame to the national championship, is the head coach of Notre Dame. So that's who I'm
Don't care
behind.
about these guys. It's only about Alabama, okay? That's my defense. I care about the players, not the coaches.
All right. 6th ranked Georgia struggled last week against Austin Peay, but they are a 3.5-point favorite at 15th ranked Tennessee. Tennessee at home, Aguilar has looked good. I'm going to go with Tennessee with the 3.5-point underdog. Mac, what you got? Georgia, 3.5-point favorite.
It's gonna be a tough
This one is a major toss-up for me. This is literally a coin flip. If I just got a coin, flipped it right now, it would give me the answer. Have never done a sports bet like that before. But I'm going to have to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. Yes, they had a game that did not look great last week against a lesser opponent, but Kirby Smart, when I think of him, I think about Nick Saban because the fact that he worked under Coach Saban, he learned from Coach Saban, and has been able to make that program dominant. And so I think after a close game like that, they're probably getting their A's chewed into. They're probably getting, practice is probably not fun. And so I'm expecting Georgia to come out with a little bit of steam and win that football game minus 3.5. Bulldogs.
And Josh?
This is tough because Tennessee is a pretty good team, and going to play at Rocky Top. Look, it is not an easy environment. I mean, I know Alabama went up there and we lost a couple years ago. I'm gonna ride. Give me Georgia. I'll take Georgia and Kirby Smart. I think he'll get the guys prepared. They'll bounce back from the off game that they had with Austin Peay this past week. They can cover it. They can cover the game this week. Give me Georgia.
You two versus me, so I'm not going to give financial advice, but history shows you should ride with Georgia. If Mac and Josh are on one side, I'm on the other. Florida went from 13th in the nation to unranked with their loss at versus South Florida, and it only gets tougher for the Gators. They this week are at 3rd ranked LSU, then they go to 5th ranked Miami, then 7th ranked Texas, then 16th ranked A&M, and I think all of those are going to be losses. LSU a 9.5-point favorite, and I'm going to ride with the Tigers. Tigers coming off a rough week this past week, and they're going to rebound at home at Death Valley. Mac, what you got? LSU a 9.5-point favorite.
This one's another tough one with the 9.5 spread. Like, are they going to cover the spread? We know I firmly believe LSU is going to win this football game, but are they going to cover the 9.5 points? I don't know. you know. But, I mean,
Come
probably
on, you're
just
sharp. Come on, Mac. You gotta have a bet.
Sharp.
you
What
know
an
what I'm gonna do?
analysis.
I am the sharp, and the
I
sharp
don't
goes
know.
off spidey senses. He goes off people he knows or has met or different combinations or things he sees. And I like LSU's quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier. Great guy. Met him at the Super Bowl last year, and seems to be a stud quarterback this year. I'm just gonna ride. Hopefully, Garrett brings home the gold for me. We're gonna go with LSU -9.5 to cover the spread. Godspeed.
Josh?
I think I'm gonna take the Tigers. Like I said earlier on this year, I think Brian Kelly is doing a terrific job out there. This is the year that he's gonna make a statement. Give me the Tigers.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Lake Charles. Garrett Nussmeier, LSU quarterback from Lake Charles. I was a sports director at the TV station in Lake Charles for 3 years. So Vanderbilt, Max alma mater, going to 11th ranked South Carolina. South Carolina, a 5.5 point favorite. And I'll give this one to Mac first.
Who you got, Matt? You better say the right team.
Josh,
Don't you be biased.
Who you think he
I'll
has?
tell you who I got. Let me
Give
tell you.
me
Whoa, whoa,
those
whoa.
Gamecocks, baby. I ain't rolling with what is a Commodore?
All right, so we know where Josh stands. I'll say this. South Carolina, week 1, I said it, looked great against Virginia Tech. Their quarterback
Definitely.
looked outstanding. They look like a damn good football team in the SEC. But where there's a Pavia, there is a way. Diego Pavia keeps showing up, keeps slinging that frickin' football week after week. Doing it big. I took them last weekend. I'm going to continue to anchor down, ride with the Commodores to victory. Please, Vandy, cover the spread for me. Make me proud. I'm taking Vanderbilt Commodores plus 5.5. Lock it in. Let's do it. Let's go. Ride.
This is where I jump you. I just want you to know.
Josh said he was slinging it.
I'm sorry. Pause. Continue.
Oh boy.
Anyway, these two have a common opponent already this year. Vanderbilt looked a lot better at Virginia Tech than South Carolina did in Atlanta versus Virginia Tech. But I believe in Shane Beamer. I believe in Dylan Stewart. I believe in Lenora Sellers. My brother went to South Carolina, and I'm going to ride with the Gamecocks this week. South Carolina, 5.5 point favorite. Josh and I versus Mac should be a very good game in Columbia. This one, another SEC matchup. Arkansas at 17th ranked Ole Miss. Ole Miss struggled this past week at Kentucky. Still got the win. Ole Miss, a 9.5 point favorite at home. I'm going to go with Arkansas on this one. Josh, who you got?
That's tough. It's gonna be a tough one because I feel like with Ole Miss having a new quarterback, he really hasn't gotten to rhythm. He showed good flashes of why he won the position, but Arkansas is a tough opponent. They're really fundamental on the defensive side. So I'm gonna have to go Arkansas on this one.
And Mac, wrapping it up.
That's a tough one for me too. With the spread, Ole Miss
like the
struggled a little
spread.
bit with Kentucky. But I'm just kidding. I'm doing the whole thing again. I'm going to say in Vaught Hemingway, there should be a will and a way. Okay. And so I'm going with the Ole Miss Land Sharks. I was about to call them the Rebels, but the Ole Miss Land Sharks. It's going to be a shootout. There's going to be a lot of gunslinging. It's going to be a shootout, Josh. Not other kind
Josh,
of.
he's really trying to force this where there's a will, there's a way, and he's just not doing too good.
It's going to be a gunslinging
where,
battle.
where there's a will, there's a Vaught Hemingway that was right there. And yeah. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Auburn ranked for the first time in 4 years. They are at home hosting South Alabama. Battle in the state of Alabama. The Tigers, a 24.5 point favorite. They're a little bit of a letdown. I'm going to go with South Alabama to cover the 24.5. What do you say, Mac?
Josh, I'll go ahead and throw it over to you while I think on this real quick.
I'm taking the Tigers. Oh gosh, I can't believe I said it. But give me Auburn.
Thick blank. Okay. Josh, after all the heckling he did last week when I made an analysis play strictly off analysis in my betting protocol and my analysis brain gives me heckling. It goes with the team that. Oh, okay, cool. Look, I want to go with the South Alabama Jaguars. Okay, I do want to go with them, but I'm going to Uno reverse card here. And we're gonna stick right in the okay, wait. We're gonna continue to ride.
Is Auburn going to be slinging it?
We're gonna continue to ride with the Tigers. I'm taking Auburn minus 24.5. Don't let me down.
Well, guys, another fun episode of the M3 show. To wrap it all up, Alabama whips up on UL Monroe, 73-0 win over the Warhawks this week. They welcome the Wisconsin Badgers into Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So that'll do it for episode 3 of the M3 show. We'll see you next week. Hopefully wrapping up another big Alabama win as we go into the bye week. So we will see you same time, same place next week. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Roll Tide.